All right, here we go. Right off the bat, another fucking alert. So welcome, everybody. Welcome to episode 3 of the Misfit Medicine case studies. We are joined here by a bunch of lifeguards from Delaware. I know you guys have bounced around a little bit. They have a pretty interesting story of an injury at a lifeguard competition. We actually have the gentleman, Connor, who got injured here to kind of tell us his side of the story and all that. As these things go, we're not trying to tell anyone how to do things. We're not trying to tell anyone what to do. We're just trying to provide a base for people to look at and kind of build stuff off of that. But with that being said, my name is Gulick. I own Misfit Medicine. Currently work as a full-time EMT, and I'm right at the tail end of paramedic school, thank God. And then this guy right here.
I'm Jack. I'm the captain of Seabright Ocean Rescue.
I work for Seabright too.
Yeah,
That's
you work
pretty
for
important.
Seabright. I've been a lifeguard for 11 years here in New Jersey. That's the tale of my certifications and whatnot.
Shane, you want to go?
Yeah, Shane Gilbert. I worked as a lifeguard down in Delaware for 5 years. Spent a couple years working as an EMT. I got my paramedic, worked as a paramedic for a couple years in the city of Wilmington, and just transferred over to Police Academy. So this stuff kind of hits home for me, especially Connor being one of my best friends.
Augie, you want to go? We'll go in like the circle
Yeah,
here.
I'm Augie. I gardened for like 7 summers at North Shores in Rehoboth. I'm a chief there, and I run the Love account. I coach college swimming, but I quit to travel this year. So
Wait, Augie, you're the chief. You're the chief.
at North Shores, yeah, but we're pretty small. It's like 24 guards.
Shit,
Okay.
we have 2 fucking chiefs here.
Nice.
That's pretty sick. Yeah, Connor, take it away.
My name's Connor, or Connor Hessler. I guarded the past 4 summers. This will be my first summer with a real full-time job. So I work for Ryan Holmes now, but I'm the silly goose that these 2 had to pull out of the water.
All right, guys. So if you guys want to take it away, just kind of go into what happened that day, what was going on. I know it's like, Shane, from what you told me, it's like a yearly competition you guys do for your friend, correct?
So this was actually, we do a competition for one of our friends that passed away who was also a guard. But this was the Dewey Beach competition.
Okay,
Connor, was this 2 years ago?
2 years. Well, it'll be 2 years in July.
2 years in July. We were doing this competition called Surf Dash. Me, Connor, and Augie were all part of it. I went first, and I believe Augie went second, and that's why we were able to see what happened. And from our point of view, it's a relay race. So you race out, and you swim, you sprint into the water, you do a couple dolphin dives, touch a flag, and you sprint back. And it's like a 6 or 7 person relay race. And from me and Augie's point of view, we saw Connor go. He was going last. We weren't doing very well, so that's why at first we kind of thought it was a joke when we noticed him dive in. He kind of just went limp in the water, basically floated over the next wave. And Augie was like, "Oh my God, I think Connor just knocked himself out or whatever." So he hesitated for a second and then realized like he wasn't kidding. And then at that second, me and Augie just took off in the water, and we made entry in the water and found Connor there, kind of just to be limp. He was face down. We turned him over, and he took a big breath of air, and that's when we knew like it's.
Yeah. Augie, is your point of view pretty much the same? Any like details you want to throw in there? Anything?
Yeah, it's pretty much the same. I just remember though, Shane being like, dude, to Connor just like knock himself out, and Shane was like, dude, I don't know. And then we just saw like there was like waves, there was like 2 foot shore break waves coming in, and like we just saw him go over a wave, and I was like, oh my God, and I just hear like Shane like yell in my ear. He was like, dude, go, and like we both started sprinting. But I remember when I was sprinting down, we had like a bunch of our rookies were watching, and they were wearing like sweatpants and like t-shirts, and we saw like 2 of our rookies, Nate and this guy we call Spaghetti Joe, like already like getting in the water. They're like swimming over behind. So like we all like the 5 of us like met, and then the Dewey Beach chief, he was like the only other, him and like one other guy were the only other guards from other patrols that like went in, because like honestly you're only really watching your own team when you're competing. You're not like really watching anyone else. Unless,
How many people are we talking at this comp? Like, was this a big comp with a lot of
Huge comp. Dewey's pretty popular on like that competition. I mean, Augie, how many? It's almost every patrol, if not every patrol.
There's like, I think there's like 10 or 12 patrols, and then for that event there's like 6-person teams. So like, and then so it's like in a small area, so everyone's like on the sides watching, and then like everyone in Dewey comes and watches it. So I remember even like one of our roommates, Caleb, that's a guard. I remember he was like, "Dude, this is the first comp I'm bringing my parents to because he's from Virginia." And like, they watched it and they're like, "You're never competing ever again."
It pulls a lot of spectators. Probably what,
100,
100?
200 people.
Yeah, 100 to 200 people.
Yeah, that's because we obviously like have them around here, and more so like the south of us beaches like Belmar. Where else has a really big?
Allenhurst,
Yeah, Allenhurst,
Spring Lake.
Yeah, they'll have some big ones that like I always imagine because especially those fucking boat races. Like
We don't do that down here.
yeah, some of those boats getting rolled, it's like, dude, if someone gets hurt here, and like I'm kind of looking around and I'm like, what's the plan?
Yeah.
Like who's is it like
Your training starts to kick in. You're like,
yeah, I'm like, who's taking lead here if something goes wrong? Because there's a lot of cooks in the kitchen.
Yep. So it's actually funny you said. So I ended up taking the lead on that, and the captain of Dewey Patrol was also standing next to us. And this is like, we'll go into when we found Connor in the water, but like kind of just gravitated towards me because I was like shooting orders to the captain and like trying to be like, just command of the scene and like trying to get different things with the helicopter and the ambulance and different things. And he actually just ended up handing me the radio. And then
you were a medic at the time, right?
Yeah, so I think at that point I was out of medic school and off of FTO for maybe like a month or two.
Damn.
So I was like newly on my own as a medic.
Yeah. All right. Connor, do you want to tell us your point of view of the whole thing?
I was staring at the bottom, so we were in last place at this race. This is like I dropped the baton the year before at lifeguard Olympics. I was like, never doing this again. I'm never competing again. And then we were doing surf dash. We were practicing all day. Went into the water fine every time I went in during my workout during the day. And came time for it. We were in last place. I was like, I'll just dive a little sooner, get in the water a little faster. As soon as my toes hit the water, as soon as I felt water on my feet, I dove. I checked the water plenty of times before I went, but I dove and my head hit the ground. Everything went black, and I just in my head I was like, "Fuck!" Like I'm somewhere upstairs that I made a huge mistake I wouldn't be able to recover from. And then I opened my eyes up. And I saw some light. I saw some murky water, and realized I was not dead, but I could see the guys swimming around me. I was trying to roll over. I said this to Shane once I was on the beach again. I was like, I was trying to roll over. I couldn't get myself rolled over. So,
holy fuck. So you remember, like, it's not like you went out and you don't remember anything until you're at the hospital or anything. Like, you remember fucking opening your eyes face down in the water.
Yeah, I remember opening my eyes, and I was probably turning my head a whole bunch trying to roll myself over. But, I remember pretty much everything.
Holy shit, that's heavy.
Yeah.
All right. Shane and Augie, do you guys want to continue the story from there?
Yeah, so me and Augie were pretty much first and second getting in the water. Like I said, Spaghetti Joe was in there pretty quick also.
That's fucking unreal of a name.
It's a great name.
Spaghetti Joe. Dude, like I said, you'll eventually meet all these guys and you'll put the nickname to the face. But so like we get in there and me and Augie kind of again like took control. Like Augie has more years of lifeguard than I have, or like the medical training side. So Augie kind of controlled everybody else, and I controlled Connor's C-spine and got that under control. So we rolled him over and. Like I said, he took that big gas, like the big gas for air. And it was funny. It's funny now. It wasn't funny in the time being, but like looking back on things, a huge set rolled through as soon as we got out there.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
And you guys know, like in water spinals, like they're already hard enough. So we're now ducking waves with Connor. And he actually, as we were holding C-spine, kind of like curled up. So like looking back on that, like that was one thing. But we eventually just we finally got out of the water. Augie, I forget where you were.
I remember when we were, there was like 4 or 5 of us like in the water holding them, and I remember just like screaming like waves were coming.
Yeah.
But I remember like as we were like, I was like near the head, like shoulders and head. I remember as we were carrying them out, I was like, it was kind of like since the waves were coming in, we didn't have it in full, like how you're behind them, hold their neck. We were kind of holding them like a prize fish. Like a bunch of guys, like a little bit sideways, unfortunately.
Look what
we...
I was like, damn, we messed that part up really bad. But like I remember like people were like crowding around, but we were like yelling like the 2 guys that are the chiefs at Dewey were like clearing the area for us, and like I I remember we laid him down, we were in C-spine. And something like Shane was just talking about it, how he was like fully in charge. Remember, he looked at the Dewey Beach captain and he was like, his name's Todd. He was like, Todd, like, you want to take over? And he was like, no, dude, you're in charge. You're in charge of this. And we were like, wow. Like, and Shane was like, all right. And then he just was like, boom, boom. It was actually like crazy how Shane was like, boom, boom, boom. Like, he's like, this, like command and everything. He was like, I'm going to test this. I tested all things out on him, like the medical stuff. He can go into detail with that. But right away, Shane was like, Captain Dewey, you got to call a helicopter right now.
So you're flying him from there?
So the whole thing happened, and we get him on the beach, and I was doing my paralysis checks, like this, just checking his spinal cord out, his PMS, and everything on his, Connor, what side was it?
My left.
Your left side, yeah. So we go down the whole thing, and again, like, this is like, you got to put yourself in the shoes where, like, this is our boy, like, this is. Yeah. So you're not expecting anything to happen to him in general. You're not expecting anything to be wrong. He's, an elite lifeguard. Like, I don't know if you know, like, Sussex County goes out to nationals every year and just crushes nationals in every competition. So, like, I'm not, saying Sussex County is the best, but they're like, everyone's just like elite specimens that comes out of Sussex County for some reason. Don't know why, but so I'm like, I'm not expecting anything to be wrong with him. He's a young kid. He's athletic. He's in shape. And I'm going down PMS. His right side is good, and then I went down his left. And I asked him to squeeze my hand, and he couldn't. And I was like, do it again. Didn't do it again. Do it again. Didn't do it. I'm like, do you feel me touching you? Nope. Do you feel me touching you on your foot? Nope. Wiggle your foot. Nothing. And then I looked down, and I noticed, Will, you'll understand this, and maybe Jack, I don't know how deep you guys want the medical stuff, but he had priapism, which is nice. Like, that is like the Will, like the big dinger, like something.
I know what that is.
Yeah. So, but he was, that's like the known thing, like, if that's the case, the spinal cord, there's something backed. Like, that's the gold sign.
Yeah. Were you nice enough to tuck it for him, or Connor?
We did not. Connor pitched the tent the entire time.
Hey, I'm happy you guys could actually see it.
Yeah. So it clicked in my head at that sec, like the moment I noticed that he had the priapism and like the compromised PMS, and I was like, he needs a helicopter.
Yeah. Yeah.
So in Delaware, the only Priority 1 trauma center is up where we all live full time, so up in Newark, and that's an hour and a half car ride. So the only BV Medical, like, down there is not, like, they're gonna airlift someone anyway. So the golden hour went into my head, and we put him on a backboard. We got him everything. I called for we use Delaware State Police. So
that's pretty much the exclusive one for there, right?
Yeah, we have LifeNet out of Christiana, and Jeff Stat out of PA will come down and assist every now and again. But Delaware State Police is the primary, and they're a bunch of savages, dude. They'll land anywhere, and their medics are top notch.
Yeah.
So I give them some credit as well. So Trooper 2 lands at a nearby school. We load up Connor to an ambulance, and they take off. And I think when we did the math, it was like from time of injury or from time from recovery of like when we called the helicopter to when he was in the trauma room at Christiana Hospital, again, which is an hour and a half by car, was like 58 minutes.
Wow.
So.
Damn, that's a pretty quick turnaround, because even like some of these places that I go to for work that we may be like 20 minutes from a hospital, like you add in time of injury, response, like call response, on scene, transport, like from the door of the ambulance into the bay, like that's pretty damn good.
Yeah, and I remember it was funny. Back in the day, it's rumored that they used to land. Trooper 2 used to land on the beach.
Oh, that was a nightmare.
I was arguing with them to try to land on the beach.
Yeah.
Because again, it's the stress was high, man. I got my buddy laying here limp.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And, the ambulance was taking longer than I liked, so I'm telling Trooper 2 to land on the beach, and I'm getting yelled at by dispatch, and then eventually we just compromised and went to Rehoboth Elementary.
Do you have enough space there that you could land it on the sand?
I mean, honestly, like DSP will land on like a sideways roof if they want to. Like, dude, their pilots are just.
Yeah. Because I think Jersey, it's a 100 by 100. It has to be. You need a pretty decent clip.
Yeah, I've seen DSP land in some pretty sketchy places. Just working as a regular 911 paramedic.
Yeah.
But But yeah, they wouldn't do it because of the sand rotors.
And then what does EMS look like there? Was it like a local volley thing? Is it paid? Is it like set up? Like, is Ocean Rescue involved with it at all? How does that go?
So Ocean Rescue is not involved with it. It is volunteer based. The EMS, however, is full time and paid, but the fire department is all voluntear.
Okay.
And that specific response that we got from that specific company, I actually used to volunteer there. They don't let the EMTs on the fire truck, and vice versa. There's like a huge clash between EMS and fire there, unfortunately. But yeah, so it's a 2-tiered system, same as it is up by me. So ALS is its own complete separate entity. So it's only a BLS unit and an ALS unit. So we had a medic 104 out of Rehoboth, and then a supervisor, and then a BLS bus out of 86, which is Rehoboth.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah. So Connor, do you want to kind of talk about, if you're cool with it, like what your actual injuries were? What I mean, I can kind of see you're moving your left hand right now, so I'm assuming things went well. Yeah. And just talk about the recovery from that.
Yeah. Things have gone really well. I shattered my C5 vertebrae, split it in half. I have it's fused from C4 to C7. And then I got rods and screws in the back of my neck. But I started PT, I think 6 days after my surgery. I was up, starting to walk again, very, very slowly, but that was an awesome feeling. I think it was 2 or 3 days before I walked for the first time, Shane and a bunch of the guys came up to see me. Some of the guys that were guards when I was a rookie, and then some of the guys that hadn't come back. They still had to take care of the beach for us. I started PT at Christiana, and then I went up to Bryn Mawr Rehab, and I was there for 3 weeks. And then after that, I got to go home, and I went back to college. Normal, went to college as normal, and then I did PT up there at NovaCare Place.
Well, Connor, let's not leave out the fact that you came and surprised us on the beach 30 days later.
Yeah, I walked down on the beach and got to see all the guys. I brought them some surf bagel and got to walk on the sand and hop up on the chair. So it was pretty sweet.
That's awesome.
Yep.
That is super cool.
He kept jumping in the pool, too.
Well, that was later on. I got back in the water too a little bit. I had to keep my scar was covered, but
yeah,
I'm getting surgery to remove I broke a screw just fucking around and doing too much last spring. So I'm getting surgery in November to get all that removed and no more metal in my neck. So
damn.
Nice.
But I got the strongest neck out anyone I know now. So,
yeah, seriously.
Thanks to these two guys.
Yeah.
So Will, I'm trying to figure something out. Going through medic school, what's the big saying with when I learned about his injuries, C5, I was so happy to know he was breathing when we
because that's
out of the water.
Pretty close.
C5, man, it keeps you alive. So the C5 it works your diaphragm, and that's the main thing that keeps you breathing. So if he wasn't breathing, we would have had a really, really bad day versus just a really bad day.
Yeah. Damn, that's gnarly. And Connor, how soon was it from the injury that you started to get movement and sensation back? Are we talking obviously within that couple days, but was it a couple hours once things calmed down, you were able to start wiggling and all that? Or
I was able to start kind of wiggling stuff more when the swelling went down. I think it was the encouragement when I got to the trauma unit. I got a finger on my butt, and I really wanted to start moving my hands and moving around.
Yeah, they like to do that.
Yeah, good old trauma handshake.
They're gonna ask you a whole bunch of questions, and you're gonna feel something up your.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, no, that's a legit. That's a legit. I always say if I get hurt at work, that I do not consent to that happening.
But yeah, it was a few hours. It was later that night when the swelling started to go down. My face, Augie said earlier that summer I got hurt, he was like, Connor, put on some weight. But my face was a lot chubbier than normal when I was in the hospital. I have a photo. I'll have my fiance will find it for you. But I got a photo of me throwing up a shotgun so I could send it to the guys. But I was able to start moving stuff when I was in that trauma trauma center or whatever.
Yeah, a finger up the ass is a good encouragement there
to wake up.
Yeah. That's
better than a morning cup of coffee.
Cool. We'll kind of transition to the next step, and that's going to be what do you think what do you think went well with it? I know you touched a little bit on it already. And from my point of view, the biggest thing to me, it sounds like with that many people, It's just kind of the controlling the chaos, because that's something we see all the time. That we cover a national park is just north of us, and we'll respond there for drownings because they have a lot of unguarded beach. You have like 4 or 5 different agencies alone there, and so it's kind of like, hey, who's running the show here? And it sounds like that was taken care of really well. But you guys have any other points?
And Augie, I'll let you take that one away.
Honestly, the thing that I think that we did pretty well was like right away, like when we got in the water and we got back onto the beach, it's like pretty much everyone that we were with, like on our patrol, there was probably like 4 of us or 3 of us, and then the 2 other guys on the other patrols. Like nobody panicked. It was kind of just like, it was like clockwork. It was all just like second nature, because our captain would make us like practice spinals and stuff all the time. And like the beach we work at, we like people don't really go in the water way too much anymore because it's like a private community. So we would just practice. It's not like, I mean, Shane and I used to be on other patrols, and like a lot of stuff would go down. So we had like seen it all before, but it had been a while for us. So we were like everything was like pretty good, under control, under pressure. And like besides that, it was I mean, it's not like we just didn't know what we were doing. Like we just, it was like a routine. It almost felt like kind of like a routine because we'd practice it so much.
Yeah, you kind of knock in that autopilot.
Yeah, it wasn't like we didn't have anyone that was just like freaking out and losing it that we were working with, like what to do. Like Shane was like, med bag right there, grab the adult collar, and like boom, we knew how to put it on, still holding him C-spine, how to move him on the backboard. Like we didn't have anyone that was like, oh, like what do you do? So
yeah, that's pretty cool. Connor, what about like from your point of view? What do you think, like as the patient? Because I know like we learn about it all the time, like lifeguarding, EMS, like how to treat the patient. But from the patient point of view, like what stood out to you?
It was weird being the victim. Like I'm the one that these guys are working on, that I train with, but like they move super fast. I couldn't really tell you any like time frame or anything like that. It's all kind of like a blur at that point. But just the way that they moved me, the way that the speed that they worked on me with, and then Augie he was holding me in C-spine and just looking down at me and continuing to talk to me and keep me calm. And Shane standing over me, and I could see his radio, and knowing that 2 of these guys, it's a little different when the guys that are taking care of you, makes you feel a little more comfortable. But it wasn't as scary, I feel, if it was some guys that I didn't know were working on me.
Yeah.
But yeah, I didn't know they got me to the hospital in like less than an hour. Until Shane came up. Shane and I communicated more frequently than really anybody else while I was in the hospital. But these guys worked super quick on me and worked really well with the couple Dewey guys that were helping out, and then with the EMTs and paramedics. And I was very comfortable. Not comfortable, but I was very calm, I feel, for the situation.
Yeah, like more than you would expect.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, like, so real quick, like Shane, what you were saying before, like when you have someone that you know when you're working on, it's definitely like hard to almost like stay in that mindset of like helping that person, because you're not trying to get that tunnel vision of like, geez, this is one of my best friends that went down. And it sounds like you guys kind of kept that in the back of your mind, like we love this guy, we're gonna treat him, but it's patient first, and it's good that nobody really got like that freeze or that tunnel vision, that you guys are just able to work through it and keep it going.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. Connor didn't make it too easy. He kept talking to us and saying, "Am I an idiot? Am I gonna be jacked up for life?" Mm-hmm. And then it was definitely her, right? His fiance, who we're all super close with, also works at the beach. She was crying and worried about him. Absolutely. So it was out of all the scenes I've been on and all the calls I've run, it was probably one of the most like ones I had to get my stress under control. Like I had to take a step for a second and recalibrate, just because again, like you said, he's one of our best friends. Trying not to get that tunnel vision, like, hey, this needs to happen.
Connor, you met your fiance through ocean rescue?
No, she will not go in the ocean.
I thought I caught she worked at the beach.
She does.
She worked in our office at North Shores. She was selling umbrella and chair rentals and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And then she also helped us out with junior guards and like other kind of events down at the beach too.
Yeah, because I met my girlfriend at Ocean Rescue, so I was like, oh, that's funny.
Oh, that's cool.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, we met long before I.
Oh, very nice.
Yeah, yep.
Yeah, I think the coolest part of this story though is that Connor was quick. He actually came to the tryout, swam the tryout, and then guarded the following year.
Damn.
Yeah.
Yeah, our boss wasn't too happy about that, but
Neither was your doctor.
yeah.
He's like, sign these forms now before you get anywhere near this fucking beach. That is unreal. All right, guys, go to the next part. It's going to be, is there anything that you would have changed? Like, looking back now, Connor.
You guys know what I would change. Okay, next. Who's next?
Yeah, we're gonna take you out of the lineup, Connor, for certain.
Yeah.
I think the thing that I would change is just looking back on Monday night quarterbacking myself is just making sure we're holding C-spine in the water.
Yeah.
If he was, like I said, he was completely limp on his left side. He was completely paralyzed on his left side. So in my head, I was like, did we just cause that from going uncontrolled under that wave?
Yeah.
But from EMS Will and Jack, I'm sure you've seen it with just any rescue you've done. You can always Monday night quarterback yourself. You can't get hung up on that stuff. But I think that's the one thing that went.
Yeah, I mean it's tough though because it's like that kind of falls into like the austere environment, like dangerous environment category. That it's like, okay, do we remove him from this environment and then start to get into the medical, and then or do we treat as much as we can here and then move? Kind of like weighing that gray area.
Yeah, and all you can attest, like he said, 2-foot waves, and then all of a sudden, when Connor got hurt, these waves were overhead. We were like, where the hell did they come from?
It's the way it goes. Every type of rescue, like it always just gets worse in the environment.
Yeah.
Augie, you got anything?
No, yeah, I think that's pretty much like the main thing. I remember like getting on like to the wet sand and like yelling at everyone to straighten out his back. I was like, we straighten out his back. Like, I just remember being like, damn, we messed that up.
Yep.
Big time. And I was like, oh my God.
Yeah.
I remember just like, we got to the dry sand next to the backboard and I was like, oh, it's finally straight. It's like, geez.
Yeah, it's tough too, because if that was like flat water, maybe you could like hang out a little bit and like, hey, okay, his airway's out, he's breathing. Let's like take a second to collect ourselves here, get him straightened out. Maybe even like a Stokes or something, just something that can drain. And just get him set there and get him out. But with that surf, there's really like we talk about all the time. Like if someone gets fucking dumped on a jetty or something like that, I'm like, there's no good way to get someone out of there if they're fucking like caught between a rock. Fortunately, it's just like, hey, you gotta get them out of there and then take care of that after.
Yeah. And then, so apparently that same day, right, Connor, there was another spinal down somewhere else.
State Park. Right?
It was the day before. I actually talked to this guy quite a bit. His name's Jim Sunderhoff. His family knows my fiance's family through St. John's. So Delaware's a tiny world, and yeah, he got hurt in Fenwick Island like a day or two before I did, and they brought him to BB first, and then they brought him up to Christian, and he had surgery the same day as I did. So yeah.
Recovery, Connor, or no?
His injury, he didn't break anything. He compressed a bunch of discs, and he's 65, so his recovery is a little bit different than mine. They went in through the front of his neck to do his surgeon went through the front of his neck to install, I guess, those the artificial discs.
Yeah, because they can swap those in the neck.
Yeah.
So yeah, his recovery took a little longer than mine, but he's doing great too. So
that's wild that you went from
like almost like what was it, 2 days apart or 1 day apart that this happened?
Yeah. So I think it was the Saturday before. I was out in Pittsburgh on Saturday, and this guy got hurt, and then I came back to the beach and caught my bad luck. So
what are the odds?
Yeah.
Damn. I don't know about you guys. We get some wicked shore break, and
depending on like how like the beach is set up, like when we get pumped and there's like not that much of a sandbar, we'll get like 3 to 4 foot shore break when it's high tide. And I get my first year, I was a rookie. I was 16 years old, and a guy literally just got tossed right over the falls, right on his head. And I'm just sitting there, and the guy that I was with, he was a little bit older, like ran up and was just holding C-spine, and like I can't leave my stand, so I'm just standing there staring at him, and like the guy's just like sitting down, like hunched over, and the guy's just holding his neck. and I'm just like on the radio, and I'm 16 years old. I'm like,
I don't know.
we need help.
He's in
Yeah,
danger.
I need everyone over here. And then my boss, Mike Hudson, like came running down, and he's just cursing and like trying to get everything going. And I'm like, I have no idea what to do in this situation.
Yep.
Shane, you said you guys knew HUD, right, or met
Yeah.
HUD before?
Augie knows Hudson very well.
Oh, really?
Well, yeah, he's friends with our captain at North Shores, and our captain used to be the captain at Rehoboth, and
Oh, yeah.
he would come in and like talk to us about like Shark Week and talk about like J-Hap and stuff and all that stuff. Yeah, so like, he would just come in like once or twice a summer and just give us a lot of knowledge, and then our boss would always talk about him. So
Do you
That's
guys
how- that's
happen
how
to
we
know a
met.
guy, I won't say his name, but he's a Navy SEAL, that worked at Rehoboth, and then he actually came up with HUD to Seabright for a year.
What's his
He's
name?
on one of the,
There's like 6 guys, or
Yeah.
6 or 7 guys from
really?
Rehoboth that are SEALs.
I
Yeah,
don't know if I can say his full name, but his first name's,
I don't
I
know.
don't know.
Dude, I don't know, kind of sounds.
that guy's a fucking animal.
He's a unit.
Yeah.
I think we actually have a buddy going to Bud's in the summer.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, this guy came and visited us one summer, and he's like, just like, not like a freak of nature rip, but just like solidly fit dude. He's walking around the beach like big ass fucking dagger tucked in his board shorts. We're like, all right, dude, that's fucking legit.
Like, all right, this guy means business.
Yeah, and they went out with us. He got us fucking hammered. Like I have a rule that I usually don't drink the night before I have to work. That's like my one lifeguard thing I don't do because I'm just terrible hungover.
Augie, you want to talk about that?
You want to talk about that, Augie? And
Yeah, I know that's
Delaware guarding.
yeah, but
we
he
we
showed
drank,
up,
like-
and I broke that rule that night, and he got us wasted.
I mean, it's always a good time.
Yeah. But it's like we get to work early. They make us come in early and do this workout because our boss he's like, you guys can't be hungover.
Smells like a liquor store in here.
Yeah, it's a famous quote from our captain. He's always just like, you guys tore the town down. It smells like a liquor store in here. And then he makes us tell all these stories from the night before.
Well, because Saturdays are always rough because we do this thing called, I mean, I won't be participating anymore, but slosh ball every Friday. And, I mean, Augie, how long has been slosh ball been around?
I don't know, probably like at least 10 years. It's just like, it's drunk kickball. So like if you're in the outfield, you're holding the beer and you can only play with one hand. And then if you're kicking, they give you a full beer at first base. And for your score to count at home, the beer has to be empty. So
Holy shit!
you're drinking like, if you're really getting into it, I've had like at least 12 beers in like the hour and a half game. I'm throwing up during the game, but it's
The-
pretty,
the
and then
third-
we're done at like 8 o'clock, so then we all just go to the bar right after.
Yeah,
Dude,
the third
I
baseline is always just a line of just
just
fuck
vomit.
you. Yeah, but
That's
it's every Friday. It's like the 2 or 3 patrols will go like that are local there. Will come play, and it's a blast.
Yeah,
That's
we got to
sick.
go down for
I
that.
know that was gonna be my next thing is we got to come down this summer to Dewey and
Oh my God, yeah.
We
They
have
have
like
the state house again, so
we have like a whole tournament for it too. In like beginning of August, we do like a 4-team tournament, and we have like we have a buoy we spray painted gold, and the winner brings it back every year.
Oh
Whoever
really?
gets it keeps it for the
Sick.
year. Yeah,
Yeah,
we
it's
won
actually-
it twice, and then we lost it. Pissed now.
good time.
Cool. All right, guys. I think that about wraps it up